When you're looking for a hydration product, what are the things that you're looking for?
If I'm ever looking for a hydration product, the number one thing I'm looking for is that it tastes good. Like, water has no taste at all. Water's what, like, nature turns to rehydrate, and that's a little bit boring. And then you come down, are you gonna go with sugar? Are you gonna go with sugar-free? And all of this is just conversations point. Does this taste better than the other product? That's it. Jocko Hydrate is delicious. It's got electrolytes. That's between you guys. I don't know what electrolyte is. Frankly, I don't even need one. You could give me more electrolytes than the opponent, I'll beat the opponent. You could give me less than the opponent, I'll still beat the opponent. I can't even spell electrolyte. This has them, whatever that is. And it tastes good, which is really what matters. The fix was in for Fury versus Ngannou. Joe Rogan just brought this up, and I know that feels like old news, but I more want to discuss how that gets done. Like, yes, the fix was in for Fury versus Ngannou. No, the fix wasn't in for Fury versus Ngannou. Well, what's the first thing we'd have to do there, guys, if we're going to debate that? What is the very first thing we'd have to do? We'd have to define what fix means. Right, there is what lies the problem. Is boxing dirty? Yes. Is it corrupt? Is it corrupt to where the outcomes are not a straight adjudication of what happened? Yes. How can you prove that? Do you have knowledge of a prior conversation? No. Can a fix be in without prior knowledge of a conversation? Yeah, I think it can. Some people think it can't. Are you ready for me to explain? You ever hear about gangsters? I mean, you ever watching the news and they go down and there's always a conspiracy charge? You hear that word conspiracy all the time, right? When you hear that word conspiracy, which is always on your nightly news, as it had to do with some guy they're putting in handcuffs, you've told yourself over time that's a pretty bad word. Would you agree? Hey, these guys conspired. Hey, there was a conspiracy. Will you agree that in your mind and in your heart, you think of the word conspiracy as a very bad word? Okay, great. Now, will you also admit you've never looked the word up? Will you admit for me, you don't actually know what a conspiracy is? A moment ago when I said, and you were weighing in on whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, but now you're faced to admit you don't even know what it means. To have a conspiracy under law, and the reason everyone you ever see goes down a conspiracy, it means you had a conversation. That's what it means. And it's extremely hard, possibly even impossible, to have a conspiracy without a conversation. So how do they do it in boxing? Well, very obviously, they do it through the media. The promoter goes to the media. He talks about what he wants next, what he plans to happen next. Well, before we get there, we still got to get through Saturday night. Okay, that was the promoter, and that he just told the judges what to do. Now, the judges, though, they're an independent third party. They work for the commissions, or they work for an athletic commissioner. They work for somebody where they are not interested, and they do not hear that. And if they cannot be affected by the emotion of the promoter, it would sure seem like you can't have a conspiracy, but they can. 100% they can. And you won't have a promoter or an athletic director that'll co-sign and tell me, oh yeah, Chael told you the truth. Not one, not in all 50 states will one of them come forward and say, yes, the promoter can put in a request list for what judges we use in the future, and we will take it into consideration. Happens in all 50 jurisdictions. They won't admit it. And I don't know why. I'm not calling them out on something. I'm sharing with you how you can have a fix which would involve a conspiracy, and you can't have a conspiracy without a conversation, and you can keep these guys apart. You keep them apart because you have a mediary known as the media. So when you bring Usyk and you put him in the front row, and the promoter who's shelling out all the money, including the money for your plane ticket here and your hotel here, he's letting you know what he wants next. And he's like, oh, I don't care what happens next. Whatever happens, it's boxing. Straight up sport. Sport first, business second. I don't care what happens next. I mean, I got Usyk here in case Tyson wins, and I'll do that fight if and I don't have a plan if Tyson loses at all. I'll have wasted all of this. And yeah, you're right. I do have a venue, and I do have tickets on sale, and it's for the Unified World Championship. But we don't care if that happens or not. We care about what we're here for is to find out if Tyson can beat Francis. That's what we're here for. No. It's not. And quite frankly, nobody's wrong. There's nobody wrong in that scenario that I just laid out. The only one that's wrong is Francis. Now, people aren't going to like that argument, but it's the truth. Francis knew Usyk was coming. Francis knew. The plan is for Tyson to beat me and to move into Usyk. In fact, this whole event that I'm doing is a commercial. The entire event for Francis versus Fury, as real as that was to Francis, it was a commercial. All that was a pay-per-view commercial to sell Usyk versus Fury, which would make sense considering they're both boxers and Francis is not. Now, if Francis could stand back, and he can't, he is awful at this, but if he could stand back and look at the pieces, he would understand that's a piece and a weakness that he has. And what would he do? He would have created an opponent for himself. He would have created a storyline for himself. He would have interjected that I am the one that is going to fight Usyk. I have a contract for that. I am the bigger draw. I am the one that the people want. The board was laid out. It was no different than Usyk versus Tyson. Tyson got in a PR mess by saying that Usyk is from the Ukraine and Ukraine is being attacked by Russia, so people are going to sympathize with Usyk. He got in trouble for that. He was 100% right. I told you guys before that fight, if you believe it's going to go to the distance, make sure you're considering a bet on Usyk. They're not going to go against a guy whose country is attacked, who publicly came out and said he fought and defended for the country, even though he didn't. By the way, that was just marketing, but it worked on you. So when you're looking at the board and you think that the fix is going to be in just a little bit, why do you believe the fix is going to be in? Because they want him to fight him. They brought him out and they told the media. Okay, great. That makes sense. Why did Francis not then have an equal and opposite story? We've been bringing guys out from the beginning of time. We've had promoters giving a message to the judges to get it right from the beginning of time. We've kept judges quiet. We've kept their names out of it. We kept their faces out. All they got to do is get up and leave that building. Somebody's booing. They don't even know they're booing the guy that's walking out of the building. Like, we've been doing this from the beginning of time. It's not going to stop. So if you're Francis and you look at the pieces and you know you're walking into that environment, much like Fury should have had a counter for the Ukraine that he thinks is going to affect the judges. He knew that ahead of time. He didn't think of it in the last 30 minutes while he's getting his face beat in. He should have countered and attacked that ahead of time, which could have been done in a simple call-out. He could have simply called that out. Francis should have had an opponent. Francis could have had a storyline. Francis should have had Fury next. After what he did in getting a split decision, he didn't know what time it was before he went in there. He didn't know what time it was during. He didn't know what time it is after. So was the fix in? Sure. Did the promoter relay his wishes to the judges, which they all deny happened? Yes, they did it in front of everybody. It's the best place to hide something. Does fix equal conspiracy? Conspiracy equals conversation. I just taught you 3 things that you never knew.